The stack of unpaid bills lay in front of Emma like a silent threat. Electricity, rent, medical expenses, each paper a reminder of how close they were to losing everything. She ran her hands through her hair, trying to calm the storm inside her. "Emma, what are we going to do?" her mother asked, her frail hands trembling as she clutched the latest eviction notice. Emma swallowed hard, forcing a smile she didn't feel. "I'll figure something out, Mom. I promise." Her younger brother, Jake, sat quietly beside her, eyes wide with fear. He was too young to understand everything, but he knew enough to be scared. A loud knock on the door made them all jump. Emma's heart pounded as she walked over, hesitating for a moment before unlocking it. A sharply dressed man in a black suit stood before her, his expression unreadable. He carried a sleek leather briefcase, the kind only wealthy businessmen owned. "Miss Emma Kim?" he asked in a crisp, formal tone. "Who's asking?" she replied wearily. The man gave a slight nod. "My name is Mr. Choi. I represent a client who has an offer for you." Emma frowned. "I'm sorry, but if this is about our debts, I can't pay anything right now." "This is not about debt collection," Mr. Choi interrupted smoothly. "It's an opportunity." Emma hesitated. "What kind of opportunity?" Mr. Choi stepped inside without waiting for permission, his polished shoes clicking against the warm wooden floor. He placed his briefcase on the table and opened it, revealing a thick stack of documents. "My client is willing to clear all your family's debts and provide financial stability," he stated, his voice calm and businesslike. "In return, you must agree to a 1-year contract marriage." Silence filled the tiny apartment. Emma's mind struggled to process his words. What? "A marriage," Mr. Choi repeated, adjusting his glasses. "Legal, but temporary. My client requires a wife, and he is willing to compensate you handsomely for the arrangement." Emma blinked. This has to be some kind of joke. Mr. Choi remained unfazed. "I assure you, Miss Kim, it is a very real offer." Emma let out a disbelieving laugh. "Who even does things like this? You can't just buy a wife like a business deal." "My client can," Mr. Choi replied smoothly. "And he is willing to make it worth your while?" Emma shook her head. "No. Absolutely not." Mr. Choi sighed as if he expected her answer. He slid a single sheet of paper across the table. "Before you refuse, take a look at this." Emma's eyes widened as she read the numbers. Every single debt wiped clean. A fully paid apartment for her family. An additional financial settlement after the contract ended. "Think carefully, Miss Kim," Mr. Choi said, his voice lowering. "Your mother is ill, your brother is still in school, and your landlord has given you 1 week before eviction. This is your chance to change all of that." Emma's hands trembled as she put the paper down. The weight of reality crashed into her. I can't marry a stranger," she whispered. "You would not be the first to enter such an arrangement," Mr. Choi said. "And, I assure you, my client is a man of means. You will be well taken care of." Emma's heart pounded. "Who is he?" Mr. Choi hesitated for the first time. "I cannot reveal his identity until you accept." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "So I'd be marrying a faceless man? That's even worse." Mr. Choi closed his briefcase. "You do not need to decide now. But if you are interested, meet me at this address tomorrow at noon." He placed a business card on the table. "Think carefully, Miss Kim. This is not an offer that comes twice." And then, just as quickly as he arrived, he was gone. That night, Emma lay awake staring at the ceiling, her mind a battlefield of emotions. "Mom, do you need anything?" she asked softly, peeking into her mother's bedroom. Her mother smiled weakly. "No, sweetheart. Just rest, okay?" But Emma knew better. The medicine was running out, and without it, her mother's condition would only worsen. She stepped into Jake's room. He was fast asleep, his tiny hands gripping the blanket. He was just a kid. He deserved a better life. She sat on the couch, gripping Mr. Choi's business card. Could she really do this? Could she marry a stranger for money? But if she didn't, what would happen to her family? The next day, Emma stood in front of a towering glass skyscraper, heart pounding as she clutched the business card. She could still turn around. Walk away. But then she thought of Jake. Her mother. Their tiny apartment on the verge of being taken away. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. A receptionist guided her to a private office. Mr. Choi was already there, waiting. "You came," he said, sounding unsurprised. Emma swallowed. "Just tell me who he is." Mr. Choi slid a file across the table. "His name is Liam Park." Emma's breath caught. Liam Park. The name was everywhere, on business headlines, magazine covers, and whispered conversations about the coldest, most ruthless billionaire in the city. "This has to be a mistake," she muttered. "Why would a man like him need a fake wife?" "That is not your concern," Mr. Choi said. "What matters is that he chose you." Emma hesitated, her fingers brushing against the contract. This was insane. But so was watching her mother suffer. So was letting Jake grow up homeless. She exhaled slowly. "And after 1 year, I can leave." Mr. Choi nodded. "Yes. The marriage will be legally dissolved, and you will receive your settlement." Emma's hands trembled. "And we won't have to." She cleared her throat. "Be together." Mr. Choi's expression remained neutral. "There will be no expectations of intimacy. This is a business transaction. Nothing more." Emma stared at the papers, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. This was her only chance. With shaking fingers, she picked up the pen and signed her name. The next evening, Emma stood in a dimly lit private lounge, waiting for her husband-to-be. The air was thick with anticipation, and when the door finally opened, she forgot how to breathe. Liam Park stepped inside, a man carved from ice and steel. Tall, broad-shouldered, and impossibly handsome, his black suit tailored perfectly. His eyes were cold, calculating. "So, you're the one they chose," he said, his voice deep and unreadable. Emma squared her shoulders. "I wasn't chosen." "I agreed." A smirk touched his lips. "I suppose desperation makes people do foolish things." Her fist clenched. "Then why did you offer it?" Liam stepped closer, his presence overpowering. "Because I need a wife, and you need money. Let's not pretend this is anything more than that." Emma's nails dug into her palms. "You have no idea how much I hate this." His smirk deepened. "Then you'll fit right in." He extended his hand. She hesitated, but forced herself to shake it. The moment their hands met, a shiver ran down her spine. This wasn't just a contract. This was a deal with the devil himself. As Liam released her hand, his gaze lingered. "Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Park. I hope you survive it." Emma sat stiffly in the chair as a stylist curled the last strands of her hair. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her in the mirror. The white lace gown hugged her body perfectly, the delicate embroidery sparkling under the warm lights. She should have felt beautiful. Excited. But all she felt was hollow. The room was silent except for the occasional shuffling of fabric as the assistants made last-minute adjustments. "Are you ready, Mrs. Park?" Mr. Choi asked from behind her. Emma flinched at the title. Mrs. Park. She hadn't even met her husband yet, and they were already legally bound. "Where is he?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Choi adjusted his tie. "Mr. Park is busy with work. He won't be attending the ceremony." Her hands clenched into fists, nails digging into her palms. Of course. This wasn't a real wedding. There was no groom waiting at the altar, no exchanged vows, no gentle kiss. Just a cold business transaction. Wordlessly, Mr. Choi placed a small velvet box on the table beside her. "Your wedding ring. The contract is finalized, and from this moment forward, you are Mrs. Emma Park." Emma swallowed the lump in her throat and reached for the box. Inside was a stunning diamond ring, perfect, beautiful, but completely empty of meaning. She slid it onto her finger. It felt heavy. Hours later, Emma was escorted to a grand estate, larger than anything she had ever seen. The car rolled through towering iron gates, past manicured gardens and elegant fountains, before stopping in front of an imposing black door. The butler led her inside, and her breath hitched. The interior was just as cold as the man who owned it. Minimalist. Monochrome. As if it were designed for someone who didn't want to be reminded of life. "This will be your room," the butler said, opening a door to an elegant yet soulless bedroom. The walls were pale grey, the bed massive but untouched. "And Mr. Park?" she asked hesitantly. The butler hesitated. "The master has his own quarters. You are free to use the main areas, but please do not disturb him unless necessary." Emma's stomach twisted. So that was it. Married, but strangers. She stood in the middle of the grand bedroom, the silence pressing in on her. She looked at the empty space beside her. She had never felt lonelier. Hours passed. Emma lay awake in the massive bed, staring at the ceiling. The mansion was so quiet it was almost suffocating. Did Liam even live here? She sighed and sat up, rubbing her arms. She had expected some kind of acknowledgement, even if it was just a cold greeting. But the man hadn't even bothered to see his own wife. Determined to shake off her frustration, she got up and wandered into the hallway. The mansion was a maze of dimly lit corridors and locked doors. Everything was polished, elegant, and completely devoid of warmth. Then she saw it. At the end of the hallway, there was one door slightly ajar. Unlike the others, this one seemed different. Her curiosity got the best of her. She pushed the door open. Inside, the air was heavy, the scent of old books and something darker lingering. The room was lined with shelves, stacks of files, and a large mahogany desk. It looked like an office, but something felt off. Then she noticed the portrait on the wall. A woman. Stunning, dark-haired, with piercing eyes. Emma frowned. Who was she? I told you not to come in here. The low, cold voice sent a chill down her spine. She turned sharply. Liam stood in the doorway. His usual composed expression was darker. Angrier. Emma took a step back. I didn't mean to. Liam's jaw tightened. In one swift motion, he crossed the room and grabbed her wrist. His grip was firm, not painful, but enough to make her heart pound. Never go into this room again, he said, voice dangerously low. Emma's breath hitched. It wasn't just a rule. It was a warning. Days passed in silence. Liam remained a ghost, their interactions brief and distant. Until the charity gala. Emma sat stiffly at the extravagant dinner table, the fabric of her evening gown suddenly too tight. She was out of place among these powerful men and women, all of whom looked at her like she was an insect beneath their heels. Then, she saw her. Rachel Monroe. The stunning, elegant woman who walked straight toward her, confidence radiating from every step. Liam's little wife, Rachel said smoothly, her lips curving into a sharp smile. Emma's fingers curled around her glass. Something about this woman felt dangerous. You really think he married you out of love? Rachel continued, tilting her head. You're just a contract. Everyone here knows that. Emma's stomach twisted, but she refused to let it show. She lifted her chin. Then why are you so interested in me? Rachel's smack faltered. If I'm just a contract, why are you wasting your time talking to me? Emma added smoothly, her lips curving into a polite, but pointed, smile. Silence fell between them. Then, a voice interrupted. Is there a problem? Emma turned, and Liam was standing beside her. Rachel's smile returned instantly. Not at all, darling. Just getting to know your wife. Liam's gaze darkened. Then you should learn some manners, he said coolly, placing his hand on Emma's lower back. Emma froze. It was the first time he had ever touched her. And it wasn't just for show. Rachel's expression flickered, but she quickly masked it. I'll leave you two alone. She walked away, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Emma turned to Liam, eyes searching his. You didn't have to do that. Liam studied her for a moment before leaning in, his lips brushing her ear. Next time, don't let them get to you. Her breath caught. By the time she turned to face him, he was already walking away. For the first time, Emma saw something in his gaze she had never seen before. And she had no idea what it meant. Emma walked through the quiet streets, pulling her coat tighter around herself. Liam had barely spoken to her after the gala, and she needed fresh air to clear her mind. She had been walking for only a few minutes when a van screeched to a stop beside her. Before she could react, hands grabbed her, yanking her inside. Her screams were muffled as a cloth pressed against her mouth. Darkness swallowed her whole. When Emma woke, her wrists were bound, and her head pounded. She blinked, trying to adjust to the dim light. The room smelled of damp concrete, and a single flickering bulb cast eerie shadows on the cracked walls. You really married that bastard, huh? A rough voice sneered. Emma's stomach twisted. A man stepped forward, his face partially covered by a mask. Do you even know who your husband really is? He taunted. Her pulse pounded. I don't know what you're talking about. The man chuckled darkly. Of course, you don't. That's why you're here. Your leverage, sweetheart. Liam Park took something from us. Now, we take something from him. Emma's breath came fast. This wasn't random. This was about Liam. She clenched her fist, trying to steady herself. Would he even come for me? Their marriage was fake. She was just a contract, a business deal. Her heart sank. He wouldn't come. The door suddenly burst open with an ear-splitting bang. The room filled with chaos, shouts, the sound of fists colliding, and then him. Liam. Dressed in all black, his expression was deadly. His dark eyes scanned the room before landing on Emma, tied to the chair. His entire body went rigid, his jaw tightening as if he was trying to restrain himself. Who the hell are you? The masked man spat. Liam didn't answer. He moved like a storm, knocking down the first man who charged at him. One punch, and the guy crumpled to the floor. Emma's breath caught. Liam wasn't just a businessman. He was something else. Something dangerous. Another attacker lunged at him, but Liam dodged effortlessly, twisting the man's arm back until a sickening crack echoed in the room. Within seconds, everyone was either unconscious or groaning in pain. Liam strode towards Emma, his breathing heavy. He crouched down and quickly untied the ropes around her wrist. Her voice was barely a whisper. Why are you here?" His fingers brushed against her wrist, his touch surprisingly gentle. "Because," he murmured, his voice lower than ever, "no one touches what's mine." The ride back to the mansion was silent. Liam sat beside her in the car, his fist clenched, his jaw tight. When they arrived, Emma expected him to leave, to lock himself in his office like he always did. But he didn't. Instead, he followed her into her room. Emma turned to face him, exhaustion and confusion mixing in her chest. "Why did you save me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair as if frustrated. "Did you really think I wouldn't?" Her eyes burned. "I don't know. I don't know anything when it comes to you." He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "Then let me make one thing clear," he said, voice dark and intense. He reached up, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You are mine, Emma." Her breath hitched. He was so close she could feel his warmth. Then it happened. Liam's lips crashed against hers, rough, desperate, filled with tension and something neither of them could explain. Emma gasped against his mouth, her hands instinctively gripping his jacket. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer as if he had no intention of ever letting her go. The kiss was raw, as if he had been holding back for too long. Then, just as suddenly as it started, Liam pulled away. Emma blinked up at him, dazed. "Liam. Go to sleep," he cut her off, voice hoarse. He turned and walked out without another word, leaving her standing there, breathless, heart racing, and completely confused. The next morning, things felt different. Liam had always been cold, distant. But now, she caught him watching her. At breakfast, when she reached for a cup of coffee, he pushed his own towards her without a word. When they walked through the halls, his hand rested on the small of her back, almost protective. And then there was the way his jaw tensed whenever another man looked at her for too long. It became obvious at a business dinner. Emma was talking to one of Liam's business partners when she felt it, a heavy stare. She turned slightly, catching the way Liam's fingers curled into a fist at his side. When she laughed at something the man said, Liam's chair scraped against the floor as he stood up abruptly. He strode over and wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her against him. The man blinked in surprise. "Liam." Liam's grip tightened. "She's my wife," he said coolly. "You should remember that." Emma's heart slammed against her ribs. After the dinner, she couldn't help herself. As soon as they were alone, she turned to him. "Were you jealous?" she teased, a small smile playing on her lips. Liam's expression was unreadable, but his eyes, they burned. "Don't test me, Emma," he said, voice dangerously low. Her smile faltered. Because in that moment, she realized something. He wasn't just pretending anymore. Neither of them were. And when the contract ended, what would happen to them? Emma was falling for him. And she had no idea if Liam would ever let her go. Emma wandered through the mansion, her mind a tangled mess of emotions. Ever since that night, the kiss, the way Liam had started watching her differently, touching her without thinking, it had all changed. Or at least, she thought it had. She found herself in his office, the one place he always told her to stay away from. She hesitated at the door, fingers brushing against the polished wood. He's not here. Curiosity won over. She stepped inside. The room smelled of expensive cologne and dark wood, and everything was neatly organized. Except for the desk. Papers were scattered across it, as if someone had been looking for something in a hurry. And then she saw it. An envelope with her name on it. Her heart pounded as she picked it up, hands trembling. Inside were legal documents. Her eyes scanned the words, her breath catching at the most important part. Terms of marriage agreements between Liam Park and Emma Kim. But that wasn't the worst part. She flipped to another document, a will. Her stomach dropped as she read the words. In the event of my passing, my son, Liam Park, will inherit Park Industries under the condition that he is legally wed for at least 1 year. Emma's blood ran cold. She clutched the papers, feeling like the ground had been ripped from under her. All those moments, the way Liam had treated her, the way he had pushed her away and then pulled her close, none of it was real. He never cared. He only needed a wife. The door behind her creaked open. Emma turned, her face pale, her chest tight. Liam stood in the doorway, his sharp eyes locking onto the papers in her hands. Emma, he said cautiously. She let out a bitter laugh. So this is what I was to you? A tool to help you win your father's company. Liam exhaled, stepping toward her. It's not that simple. Really? She held up the papers. Because it looks pretty simple to me. He didn't answer. He just stood there, his silence saying more than any words ever could. Emma felt sick. She had started to believe there was something between them. That maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just a contract anymore. But she was wrong. She threw the papers onto the desk. I was so stupid to think any of this meant something. I should have known better. Liam clenched his jaw. Emma. No, she cut him off, backing away. I don't want to hear another lie from you. He stiffened, his hands balling into fists at his sides. Where are you going? She turned toward the door. I'm leaving. For the first time, Liam looked shaken. Emma, wait. But she was already gone. Emma stormed into her bedroom, throwing open her closet and yanking out a suitcase. She shoved in her clothes, her hands shaking. She had to leave. Staying here another second would crush her. Tears blurred her vision as she zipped up the bag. How could she have let herself fall for him? She grabbed the suitcase and turned, only to find Liam standing in the doorway. He looked different. Disheveled. Raw. You're not leaving, he said, voice low and firm. Emma glared at him. Watch me. She tried to push past him, but his arm shot out, blocking her way. Her pulse pounded. Move, Liam. His eyes darkened. No. Emma felt her breath hitch. You don't get to do this. Not after everything. Liam's fingers curled around the doorframe, his knuckles turning white. You think you can just walk away? His voice was dangerously quiet. Emma's throat tightened. I was never yours to keep. A sharp silence stretched between them. Then, something broke in him. Then why, he murmured, stepping closer, does it feel like losing you would destroy me? Emma froze. His words hit her like a punch to the chest. For the first time, Liam Park, the man who was always in control, always distant, looked helpless. His hands flexed at his sides, as if he was fighting something inside him. Emma swallowed hard. You don't mean that. Liam let out a short, bitter laugh. You think I don't? You don't, she whispered. You're just upset because you lost control. This isn't about me, it never was. Liam exhaled sharply. Damn it, Emma, you. He stepped forward, backing her against the wall. Emma's heart pounded as his hand came up, fingers brushing against her jaw. His touch was hesitant, almost unsure. She should have pushed him away. She should have reminded him that this was all fake. But her body betrayed her. She was drawn to him despite everything. "You should let me go," she whispered. His jaw clenched. "I can't." Emma swallowed hard. "Then what do you want from me, Liam?" His fingers traced her cheek, his eyes burning into hers. "You," he murmured. Her breath caught. This was dangerous. This was everything she had sworn she wouldn't fall for. She searched his gaze, looking for a lie, for an excuse to hate him. But she didn't find one. For once, Liam Park wasn't the ruthless billionaire. He was just a man standing in front of her, terrified of losing something real. A shiver ran down her spine. "Liam." His hand slid to the back of her neck, his touch almost desperate. Emma had spent weeks, months trying to figure him out. Trying to hate him. But now, standing this close, her body betraying her heart, she realized something. She didn't hate him at all. She wanted him. But could she ever trust him? Could she risk it again? Her lips parted, words on the tip of her tongue. Then Liam closed the distance. His breath was warm against her skin, his lips hovering inches from hers. A war raged inside her. Did she push him away? Or did she finally give in? Emma's decision would change everything. The mansion was silent. The storm outside lashed against the windows, wind howling through the dark corridors like a warning. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the packed suitcase beside her. She had spent months in this house, with Liam. Months convincing herself that he didn't matter. But he did. She inhaled sharply as the door creaked open. She didn't need to look up to know who it was. Liam. He stood in the doorway, his suit slightly disheveled, his expression unreadable. But his eyes held something raw. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, Liam exhaled and dropped something onto the floor between them. Emma's heart stopped. The contract. She watched in stunned silence as Liam knelt down and tore it in half. Then again. And again. Until the pieces scattered across the floor like broken promises. "You're free now," he said, his voice low but steady. Emma swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. What are you doing?" "No more deals," he continued. "No more contracts. No more rules." She stared at him, her heart racing. "Why?" Liam let out a slow breath, his gaze never leaving hers. "Because I don't want you to stay because of a piece of paper." Emma clenched her fist. "So what, you're letting me go?" His jaw tightened. "I'm giving you a choice." A choice. For months, everything had been dictated by that contract. Her life. Her marriage. Even her feelings. And now, Liam was handing everything over to her. Emma let out a bitter laugh. "You think it's that simple?" "No," he admitted. "I know it's not." She shook her head. "You lied to me, Liam. You used me. Do you really think you can just rip up a contract and make that go away?" His lips pressed into a thin line. "No. I don't expect forgiveness." Emma sucked in a breath, fighting the overwhelming storm of emotions inside her. Anger. Pain. Longing. "You don't trust me," Liam murmured. She looked away. "Should I?" A silence stretched between them. Then, he stepped closer. Emma tensed, but she didn't move away. "I don't deserve your trust," he admitted, his voice quieter now. "But I can't let you walk out of here without telling you the truth." She forced herself to meet his gaze. What truth? Liam's throat bobbed as he swallowed. This wasn't supposed to happen, he said, voice raw. You were supposed to be a contract. A name on a paper. Nothing more. Emma felt her chest tighten. And now? Liam's fingers curled into fists, his control slipping. And now, I don't know how to breathe when you're not around. Her breath hitched. His eyes darkened. I don't know how to sleep without hearing you moving in the next room. I don't know how to walk into a crowded room and not look for you first. Emma's fingers trembled. Liam stepped closer. His scent, clean, expensive, unmistakably him, surrounded her. Every time you smile, I feel like I can breathe again, he whispered. Emma's heart clenched. But you don't love me, she whispered. Liam exhaled sharply, his hand coming up to cup her jaw, his thumb brushing over her cheek. Emma, he murmured, his voice almost desperate. I don't know how to love. But I know I can't lose you. A lump formed in her throat. This was it. The truth she had been waiting for. She had spent so long doubting him, doubting herself. But now, standing here, seeing the way he looked at her like she was the only thing that mattered. She knew. Liam Park might not have known how to say the words. But his actions screamed them. She sucked in a breath. If I stay, what happens when things get hard? Liam's gaze softened, and for the first time, there was vulnerability in his eyes. Then we fight, he said simply. Emma let out a shaky laugh. You really think we'll last? Liam's lips curved slightly. I think you're the only thing that's ever made sense in my life. She bit her lip, her heart hammering against her ribs. I'm still mad at you, she whispered. I know. I still don't trust you completely. I'll earn it, Liam promised. Emma exhaled shakily. You're really bad at this, you know that. Liam gave a soft, breathy chuckle. Yeah. But I'm not letting you go. Emma searched his face, looking for any sign that this was another game. But all she saw was him. The man who had hurt her, protected her, pushed her away, pulled her closer. The man she had fallen for despite every reason not to. She took a deep breath. Then, she reached up and cupped his face. Liam stiffened slightly under her touch, as if he wasn't used to being touched gently. Her heart ached for him. Liam, she whispered. His eyes darkened. And then, she kissed him. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was real. Liam inhaled sharply, his hands gripping her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, a slow, aching surrender. And when they finally broke apart, Liam rested his forehead against hers, his breath unsteady. Does that mean you're staying? He whispered. Emma let out a small smile. I guess we'll find out. Liam's fingers traced the small of her back. I'll wait for you, Emma. However long it takes. She looked up at him, no longer afraid. Then let's start over, she whispered. And just like that, everything changed.